So welcome to another collaboration video of the Shield Doing It Couch. Today, I'm joined by Señorita Sabrosura. How are you, Señorita Sabrosura?
Hi, I'm good.
So today, what we're gonna do, we're probably gonna do one video a month, and we're both vinyl freaks. We're gonna talk about vinyl music, and we thought that the first topic that we should take was top 5 albums that you would like to take to a desert island. Having obviously you need to in the imagination world that we can listen to music in this island. So this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna start. We're gonna name 5 albums. At first we wanted to do 10, but
I think we should do a second part.
But yeah, for now let's focus on 5. So I want to start with an album that I already talked about last month. It was one of my essential albums, and it's Siamese Dream by Smashing Pumpkins. So what more can I say about this album that I said a month ago in the essential album? So this is the album that got me into, let me see where now it looks better. This is the album that got me into the Smashing Pumpkins. I remember when this came out in 1993. There's songs in here that are like my favorite song, Mayonnaise, is on this album. This is an album that it was produced by Butch Vig. So those of you that don't know, he's the producer of Nirvana's Nevermind. So when it came time to record this, there was a lot of pressure both for Butch Vig as a producer, so because people thought that maybe Nirvana was a one-hit wonder for him. And then obviously he had the pressure that Billy Corgan had, that the Smashing Pumpkins were compared to the Nirvana, like why weren't they as successful as the time? But to me, this is an album that the best thing that this has is the guitar tone. When you listen to this album, there's a guitar tone that is just plain Smashing Pumpkins, and you can't go wrong with it. And of course, Billy Corgan's voice is an acquired taste. It's kind of whiny, nasally. Not everyone likes it, but I love it. Obviously, there's another album that I would have taken, Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, but the rules were you need to have it physically. And I don't have that album physically. At least I had it on CD, but I don't have it physically now because it's fucking expensive. Like, it's expensive. Very expensive, and I don't have the time to listen to a double album with kids. But Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness is great, but Siamese Dream is the album that got me into them. And until this day, it's a classic album. This is the special edition that came, like, I think it's in, it came back like in 2011 or 2012, and it's remastered. It sounds great. So if you like Smashing Pumpkins, you will love this. Obviously, I would love to have an original pressing, but it's not in the book. So that's my album number 5.
Well, when you told me Desert Island, I immediately thought about reggae. So I chose the first one, Kaya from Bob Marley. This is a very relaxed, laid-back sounds for Bob Marley. It lacks the militant quality that the Wailers have in other albums. But this one is perfect to chill at the beach. This album came in 1978 after his exile from Jamaica, and the album Exodus. Exodus is a really great album, but it's more political, apocalyptic. This one, it has like more peaceful vibes. Songs like Easy Skanking, Satisfy My Soul. It has one of my favorites from Bob, Sun is Shining. So
that's a great song. Yeah,
it's a great song, very optimistic. This is what I thought you need when you're on a desert island. Very optimistic vibes.
Plus, it's called Kaya, so it's an album to smoke a joint in the beach.
Yeah, Kaya means ganja.
Yeah, to those of you that don't know, obviously. So yeah, that's a great album, and you can't go wrong with Bob Marley in the beach. So moving on, I'm gonna talk about one of the albums that it's a classic album to me, and obviously a lot of people in the English language won't know this album, but they should. I'm talking about Draco, Rosas, Bagabundo. And to me, this is an album that I got, this is the a new cover that they did. I think they put out this, if I'm not mistaken, like 2 years ago, was it that they put this
2
out?
or 3 years.
2 or 3 years, the remaster. And the thing is that I think they lost the original cover. So Draco's song did this cover, and although it's a cool cover, to me, it doesn't
You like more
represent.
the other one?
I have a picture. I'm gonna show it to the people so people can, because that's the album, the cover I love. But this cover, it's a cool cover. But when I look at this, I think of Peter Pan. I'm like,
Actually, it's inspired of, I don't remember the name of the movie, but it's inspired by the like a movie.
yeah,
Because
I know. Yeah, it's a
all
it's
movies.
a different cover, and obviously his son made it. But to me, it doesn't represent. But let me talk about the album, and then I'll show the picture. So this album, it's considered one of the best rock albums in Spanish in the whole history. For those of you that don't know, Draco Rosa was a member of Menudo. That was a boy band back in the day, before Backstreet Boys, before New Kids on the Block and all that crap. Menudo was first.
Yes.
And he was one of the members, and he was one of the most prolific members that they had, because he spoke perfect English. He danced. He even was in a movie called Salsa back in the day. But when he left Menudo, he put out an album before this called Frio, and that's when it shined. I remember his first album had some songs that I felt some like a vibe, like a Lenny Kravitz vibe to that album. But in Bagabundo is where I think he found his sound, his voice. And this is a very dark album. It can be depressive. There's some great songs. To me, Blanca Mujer, which means white woman, it's a song that it can be interpreted in different ways. Blanca Mujer could be interpreted as cocaine in some respects, because he's speaking about waiting to die in New Orleans in 1994. And this album has some great lyrics. Obviously, it's in Spanish. So for those of you that don't know Spanish, you won't know what he's saying. But even if you don't know Spanish, this is an album that it's a classic album. And I think it's one of the best rock albums. And to me, it's still my favorite album from him. There's some other good albums from Draco, but nothing tops this. So for people that haven't seen the original cover, I took a picture because I used to have that album on CD. So this is the original picture. As you can see, it's all red. You see Draco sitting. And to me, this is the album cover that defines this album. Draco Rosa Vagabundo, my number 4 album that I would take to a desert island.
He looks like he's stoned in that cover.
I'm sure he was.
I'm sure he was. And yeah, he looks like he's stoned and very laid back.
No, I remember actually watching Draco when that album came out. I went to see him I know that he played in the Amphitheatro in Puerto Rico, but he played in the Warehouse.
In the Warehouse, that's the first time I saw him.
Yeah, he played like 3 shows or 2 shows, and I think I went to night number 2. I can't remember. But I know that show, the Warehouse, for those of you that are not from Puerto Rico, the Warehouse was a small club. It only had like 1 entrance. So if there was a fire, you were all screwed. You were going to die there. So I remember going there I think that was in 1997, that concert. And I was in the line, and Draco got to the concert on his Harley. And I looked to my left, and he's right there next to me in the Harley. And I go like, Draco, and he's like, yeah. And that was just like the type of dude that he was. He got there in his own bike and said hi to everyone, and that was I think that all of that's one of the artists that I've seen most in concert. I think I've seen him like 7 or 8 times, but I think that was my favorite show because it was so intimate, so raw.
Yes.
And he came out with some light like leopard pants, I think, with the Puerto Rican flag.
With the Puerto Rican flag. Yes,
and
I was there.
And I shouted to him that he was mine.
That was my first concert, and I was a minor. I wasn't even 18 when I went to the answer.
I think I was in college. But yeah, so everyone, Draco, Rosa, Vagabundo, I can't recommend that enough. It's an album that it will change your life like it did mine.
Okay. Well, for my second pick, I chose my old reliable friend, Bob Dylan. I know he has many great albums, but for me, this is the one. It's another laid back album from the 70s. Apparently, I love the 70s. Um, and I chose it because it has a little bit of everything like gospel, blues, jazz, country, folk. It has a little bit of everything. It has a great songwriting from Dylan, but it's a very underrated album that not a lot of people know. I think the only song that people know it's "The Man in Me," that it was shown in the Big Lebowski movie.
Oh, that's a great movie.
Yeah, the Big Lebowski movie. You know when the video that he's floating through the
When
boat.
yeah,
Yeah, but
he's floating
that
through
was
the
the
bowling
song.
alley, I think, right?
Yeah, that was the song, "The Man in Me." But it has other great songs like "One More Weekend," "If Not for You." That it shows like a new side of Dylan, less folksy. That the people was used like folk songs, but this showed like a new side because he was like a recent father and husband when he made this album. So he was in love.
Nice.
It has one of my favorite songs. Same title, "New Morning," like the album, and because it's very hopeful, so I like it.
Nice.
That's what you need when you're on a desert island.
Except me, I want to be depressed, apparently.
Apparently, you want to be depressed. Well, we can share.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we're in the same desert island, and you depress me, and I'll cheer you up.
Yeah. Yeah, I never seen that album, and he looks so different in that cover.
Yeah, well, you can see that he looks like mysterious and sexy.
Yeah, he's like, "Come to my island."
Yeah, come to my island. I'll sing to you. And sometimes when I don't know what to put, I put this album, and it always brings me hope, and it cheers me up.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, and it's a great cover. I've heard Bob Dylan, but I can't say I'm like a super Bob Dylan fan, but I've never seen that album before in my life, so that's a good thing. I just
like I told you, it's a very overlooked gem from Dylan, very underrated, but really good.
Yeah, I'll have to give that a listen. So yes. For my number 3 album, I had a change of heart, and I changed one of the albums because even though I listened to that other album, this is an album that to me is a flawless record. And I'm talking about Pearl Jam 10. This album came out back in 1991. And I just remember the first song that I listened to wasn't actually Jeremy. I think their first single was Alive, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was Alive.
And I heard them. And what I liked about their sound is that even though they were a 90s band at the time, and it was the 90s, so don't know, they were all 90s band. They had like a classic rock, like 70s sound, a lot of like great guitar licks on it. And I remember buying this album before it was a big hit, because I think I also listened to the Temple of the Dog song that they had when Eddie Vedder and Chris Cornell was in it.
Yes.
So I'm like, oh, this is the band that Eddie Vedder is a part of. And for people that don't know, Pearl Jam came to be after the death of Andy Wood from Mother Love Bone, which was the original band that Pearl Jam was, which was basically Pearl Jam without Eddie Vedder, although they sounded like a different band. And when Andrew Wood died, they didn't know what they wanted to do. So they said, like, let's start a new band. And Eddie Vedder was actually from San Diego. He was a surfer. And I think he sent them like a rough demo, and they flew him to Seattle. So he stayed there. And I think they recorded this pretty quickly. But I think when it came out, it came out in 1991, but it wasn't a hit, I think, till 6 months later in 1992, when the whole grunge thing happened. I know there was a battle like Nirvana versus Pearl Jam, which I never understood, because I think those bands don't sound anything like each other. They're different sounds. But this album, what can I say about this album? It's 11 songs. It's named 10. So you know why it's named 10, right?
No, I don't know.
Oh, it's named 10. If people would think like it's 11 songs, why is it named 10? Because their favorite basketball player was Mookie Blaylock. And
Oh,
Mookie
number
Blaylock
10.
had the number 10. So that's why it's called
Oh,
number 10. So
yeah, I
since I'm a
think
basketball,
everybody's like a big basketball fan.
yeah, they were there. They were, I think Jeff Hammond, the bass player, they're all basketball fans. And this album, the cover obviously is iconic. This is one of the albums that I've owned the most. I had this album on CD. I think I had it on cassette. Then I think in 2010 or 2009, they put out a special edition with a DVD. The DVD had the Unplugged, the famous MTV Unplugged, and it had another song, previous unreleased songs from the movie Singles, which was State of Love and Trust, which is a great song that I wish was on this one. Unfortunately, I got this was a gift, so I got the normal cover, but I know there's a vinyl out there in Walmart that it's purple, and I think you have it, right?
I think I have it.
Got the purple, so every song here,
Target.
Yeah, Target. Every song here is a hit. Like, I'm sure I'm gonna talk about this album more in length when I do one of my essential albums. But something that I love about this album is that you can play from front to back. It never gets old. I think Eddie Vedder's lyrics are, he touches on deep subjects. For example, on Alive, he's talking about the father he never met dying, and he never knew him. And obviously Jeremy touches on the subject of a school shooting before, now something that's very common. So it was something that wasn't that common then. So they were a really groundbreaking band. And also they did that Jeremy video with Mark Pellington was a great video because it didn't show it. Now videos show everything. You didn't see when he shot himself. I know there was an uncensored version where you see where the kid puts the gun in the mouth. Okay. But the lyrics, when I was this came out when I was in high school, to me, I really connected with the lyrics. I connected with the way Eddie Vedder sang. Some people say that his singing is, he sounds like a goat. And but I think there's a lot of feeling in the way that he sings, and he's been tried to be imitated. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Creed. You try to imitate bands that have tried. There's millions of bands that have tried to imitate his voice, but there's only one, Pearl Jam, and this is one of the best debuts ever. And I'm like, I couldn't be in a desert island and not listen to this album that I don't know how many times I listen to it. I never get bored. It's still great. You never get
bored, tired of that.
And it's a classic album. It stands the test of time. Number 3, Pearl Jam. 10.
Well, I can never go to a desert island without my Nina Simone. And I have other albums of Nina, but if you have to choose one, like only one for me, this is the one. It's a great album all the way through. As the title suggested, Pastel Blues. It's a blues album, but it's not like a classic blues album. It's Nina. It's more sophisticated, modern. I think even futuristic for her time. It has great songs, and you can get lost in her powerful voice. Like songs like Be My Husband, Nobody Knows When You're Down. Imagine you in a desert island. Nobody knows when you're down. But
at least you brought the depressive now.
No, but it has songs like my favorite song from this album. It's called Trouble in Mind. It has like a bright, hopeful tone. It says, like, I know I'm blue right now, but I know the sun it's gonna come out and shine. So it might look like a sad album, but it's hopeful. And Nina's voice always makes you feel like everything will get better no matter what. So it has 2 famous songs, Strange Fruit and Cinnamon too. It's a solid album all the way through. And this is before Nina embraced uh, her hair and everything, but it's still a good, really good album.
When did that came out?
1965.
Wow.
Yeah. And this is a very good version for music on vinyl.
Oh, I love every release that I have with music on vinyl. Sounds great. I think I have like 5 or 7 albums that are from them, and I'm never disappointed.
Yeah, I really like it. This is one of my Sunday, it's on my Sunday playlist.
Yeah, it sounds good. You know, have your coffee, have your
Yeah.
French toast, and listen to Nina.
Yes.
So I have my first cheerful album, and one that we have in common, even though it's a different album. I have Bob Marley Legend. And I know a lot of people that are not freaks of Bob Marley don't know that this is this is a greatest hits album, actually.
Yes.
And this album would to me would be perfect. There's only one song that's missing here. It's Iron Lion Cyan. I wish it had that one in there. It would be like perfect, but
and you have all the good ones.
Yeah, but this is that, you know, when I was in high school, like everyone had this album, you know, even if you didn't like reggae, everyone had Legend.
Everyone had it. I have it on CD first.
Oh, I had it because my sister
and I
had
have it in
CD.
vinyl. Someone gave it to me.
Yeah, I have the vinyl version from Target, and this one's a pretty vinyl, so I'm gonna fucking show it because it looks amazing.
It's in colors.
Yes.
Yes.
It's in the colors, and it sounds great. And this album, what can I say about this album? You know, it has all the hits. Is This Love, No Woman, No Cry. It has Satisfy My Soul, Exodus, Jamming, Redemption Song, which is a song that's been featured on so many movies. I think it was featured in a Leonardo DiCaprio movie, The Beach.
Yes.
Because it's you know, the good thing about Bob Marley is, like, I like some reggae, but I can't say that I'm a reggae freak. But what I liked about him was that he could write like really great political songs and meaningful songs, but also lighthearted songs. Yes. And obviously he was a great songwriter. I liked the tone of his voice. He sang great. And this is an album that I could just picture myself like on a hammock on the desert island, just like
drinking a mojito.
drinking something and just listening to this, because this is one of the albums that I put for my kids on Sunday mornings. It's like my chill to album. Like if I want to chill, I will put this, because, you know, it's a great record. And Bob Marley, obviously gone way too soon, but you know, it's incredible. He's been dead now for, I think, more than 30 years, and his music still sells, you know, so much, because, you know,
it's still relevant.
It's still relevant. And unfortunately his kids have tried, but they have failed miserably to get out of the shadow of this man.
I think there's he has like a grandson now singing. And it's good. It's not Bob Marley, but it's good.
It's very hard to top Bob Marley. It's like the same problem that Jacob Dylan from the Wallflowers has with Bob Dylan. You know, it's when you have a famous father, it's really hard to top that. But yeah, Legend. It's one of my favorite greatest hits album ever, and you can't go wrong with Bob Marley.
My next pick. Surprise, surprise, another album from the 70s, from 1970, The Velvet Underground, Loaded. I know a lot of people love the Andy Warhol, the banana one. I had that one too, but this is my favorite. This is a great album. It's called Loaded. Loaded, because it's loaded with great songs, with many great songs. It feels like a greatest hits compilation, but it's not a greatest hits compilation. It's a new album that they did after the other one, but all potential singles.
And the cover's great.
Yeah, it's a very beautiful album. It has the great songwriting from Lou Reed. But here is like more refined, more elevated. And it's a cheerful, happy album. It has my favorite songs, Who Loves the Song, Sweet Jane, or Sweet Nothing. I know this inspires so many bands that came after.
Oh yeah.
And it's an album that you can put all the way through from start to finish without interruptions, on a party, on a road trip, to cook and feel good. And nobody will mind that you put the whole album because it's really good.
Unless they hate music.
And you can sing along to this album.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Yeah, I know. And I love they're a legendary band. So
Yes.
for my last album, I'm just going to say there's a famous movie with a line that says, if you play Metallica, they will come. And of course, I'm not talking about the Black Album. I love the Black Album, but I'm talking about the best Metallica album, in my opinion, and that's Master of Puppets. This is actually considered one of the best heavy metal albums ever. Actually, it's not even considered. This is a book, the top 500 metal albums of all time. And if you look at number one,
Is
it
that one?
says Metallica, Master of Puppets, number one. And
Wow.
what can I say about this album? This is an album that when Metallica released this, they were an underground band, but they were selling. They were selling stadiums. They had no music video. Remember, they didn't put out a music video until And Justice for All, and when they did the one video that scared the bejesus out of everyone. But back then, Metallica was an underground band. They weren't the Metallica that everyone knows now and people like to shit on just because they're Metallica. But this is the last album that had the late great Cliff Burton. For those of you that live under a rock, Cliff Burton is one of the best bass players everywhere. What he brought to Metallica was that he loved classical music, opera music, and he brought that to Metallica. Even though I love other bassists that came, like Jason Newsted, I love him, and Robert Trujillo, he's good, but Cliff Burton, he gave Metallica, like, I think if it wasn't for Cliff Burton, Metallica wouldn't be the Metallica that they are now. And this is their crowning achievement. Master of Puppets is just an unrelenting political album that, slaps you from beginning to end. It starts with Battery. That song, like, it builds, and it's go Battery. And like you're in for a fucking treat. And it has Master of Puppets, like, that's one of the best heavy metal songs, in my opinion, ever. It's a long song. It has the beginning, and in the middle, it has the slow part when they play the slow guitar, and then it builds up again. It has great lyrics here. The Thing That Should Not Be, Welcome Home Sanitarium, which is more like a ballad. And they have Orion, which is one of their instrumentals. And when they play that live, it's amazing. It's a great bass. The bass that Cliff Burton actually wrote that song on bass, and the bass is the most prominent instrument on that song. And I sold out. I got the Walmart version. But it looks great because it's in red, and it looks all evil and shit. But yeah, like when I listen to this album, like, I just go back to when Metallica was actually the first metal band that I got into. Like, back in the day, I would listen to what my parents put on the radio, whatever. And I remember a friend of mine from high school, he was a metalhead, and he showed me Metallica. It was the Black Album, the first one that I got into. But after that, he told me, actually, because I thought at that time the Black Album was the hardest thing ever. He told me, no, listen to their first albums. And this is the album that I think stands the test of time. Like, I would love to hear this album live from front to back. And how could I not have this album on an island? If I have this, I'll just like rock the whole island with Master of Puppets by Metallica. And if you play them, they will come. That's my number one.
Okay. Well, obviously, I cannot go to a desert island without my dear Bowie. I'm a big fan of Bowie. And it was really, really hard to choose only one from Bowie. He has so many great albums. I love them all. My favorites are Hunky Dory, Diamond Dogs, Low. The last one, Black Star, for me is a masterpiece. But
Yeah.
this one, I chose this one because this is the first album I listened to Bowie, the one that made me fall in love with his music and with everything that Bowie did. This album appears in all the lists. You can look at all the lists of greatest albums of all time. This album is always there in that.
It's a classic.
List. Yeah, it's a classic. It's it's a concept album.
Oh yeah, Ziggy Stardust and from Mars.
Yeah,
he's
Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, The Rise and the Fall. It's like an opera.
And in the 70s, he was so ahead of his time.
It just turned 50 years now. It was made on 1972, so it just 50 birthday.
Yeah, we weren't even born, but
yeah, no.
I have that one also because it's I listen to Bowie sporadically, but talking more to you, I'm like, I need some Bowie, and I got that one, and I think it's an amazing album.
It's considered one of Bowie's best work, and I agree. It's great. Here, there are no disappointments. There's no songs like you want to play skip or anything because all the songs are epic, and it's good to sing along too.
Yeah, no, and I think that's an album like when you listen to the first 5 songs in a row, it sounds like a greatest hits album. They're like hit after hit after hit. And
yes, I never get tired of listening to this album.
When I listened to, I didn't realize that like a lot of those songs are in so many movies. Like,
yes.
I think one of them is in Guardians of the Galaxy, and in so many movies. And a lot of people have done covers, and I don't know if you watched the Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. Yeah, I think I watched that once.
The songs in Portuguese, something like that.
Yeah, no, and Bowie's he's an artist that nobody sounds like him. That's another artist that people have tried to imitate, and failed miserably. But yeah, no, that's a great album. I remember sadly when he died, that he put out that Black Star that you mentioned, and that's an album I remember.
He died 2 days after the album came out.
I actually reviewed that album when I was doing reviews for Section 10, and when you listen to the lyrics on Black Star, it's eerie because like it was like he was documenting his death. He knew that he was dying, and he put it into an album. And
it was like a farewell, a gift to his fans. Well, one of the songs says, "Look at me, I'm in heaven." Like, and he already died. Come on, guys.
So
I'm in heaven.
So yeah, it was like but yeah, that album it's a great album. Like, I totally agree with your pick. If I had more picks, I think I would take that one as well.
Yeah. I was gonna pick Draco Rosa, but you pick it, so I changed it, and then.
Yeah, I was thinking of changing Bob Marley, but it was a different album, and I'm like, you know what? Like, if you go to an island, you need to listen to Marley. So yeah, I hope people enjoy this. And for those of you that don't know, like Señorita Sabrosura, she has a blog where she talks about food. There she is.
Find me.
So find her, and obviously we're thinking of doing collaborations every month, like focus on things vinyl. Everything will be vinyl music because we both love vinyl, and I think it will be videos that people will enjoy. So until next time, the Shield Dude in the couch and Señorita Sabrosura, we'll see
on
you.
The couch too.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, you're actually in the couch. So we'll see you next month for another vinyl video. Thank you and good night.